What if the Separatists created a clone army? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. Ventress glares at the clone trooper holding the canister with Jango Fett's DNA. The trooper steps back and holds his blaster at her, while a dozen clones join him. Anakin stands up and smirks at her. From above, she notices a Kaminoan ship flying down towards her. She chuckles and holds her lightsaber ready.
I suppose you expect me to surrender.
Actually, I plan to let the clones execute you right now.
Not this time.
She unleashes a powerful force push that throws all the clones off balance. The trooper holding the canister stumbles to his feet. Ventress rushes forward, kicks him aside, snatches the canister from his hands, and leaps into the ship. The clones fire at the ship, but it is too far, and the two of them escape to the remnants of their fleet. Although they managed to defend Kamino, the loss of the cloning DNA is a huge blow to the Republic's war effort. This seriously hampers the Kaminoans' cloning effort, as that was one of their last sources of Jango Fett's DNA. They urge the Republic to find a new clone template to replace Jango Fett, but that will take time. In the meantime, Palpatine urges the Jedi and clones to continue fighting to avoid appearing weak during the Clone Wars. He is secretly seething, though, as this was not part of his plan. He wanted Dooku to attack Kamino to frighten the Republic into giving him more power, but not to win. With this development, the Chancellor will need to adjust his plans. The CIS researchers begin studying the Jango Fett DNA for weaknesses. It takes weeks of research to crack the security codes and decipher all the data, but they manage to discover the secret command codes planted in the clone's inhibitor chips. They also learn that the cloning DNA is becoming more and more strained, and the newer batches are becoming less effective. Learning all of this, General Grievous discusses the CIS's next moves.
It has come to my attention that we must consider a change of strategy to win this war.
That is a bold suggestion, General, but I would like to hear your thoughts.
Our researchers have discovered that while the cloning process the Kaminoans use is highly effective, it is also highly strenuous. They require constant sources of DNA to continue cloning. Without it, their new batches gradually become less effective.
I see. And what does this have to do with the change of strategy?
It shows that time is on our side. The quality of our droid production remains consistent while their clones decline. I propose we shift to defensive warfare, forcing the Republic to attack our worlds and deplete their numbers.
Many in the Council are horrified by this suggestion. Figures like Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor believe this will put their assets at risk of a Republic attack. However, Grievous remains adamant.
Bah! None of you are generals. What do you know of strategy and tactics? Warfare like this always favors the defender. For every droid destroyed, the Republic may lose 10 clones. How long will it take before their armies are reduced to nothing?
Dooku sees the logic of this plan, but also senses the anger of the CIS Council. He assuages them for now, promising that their holdings will be protected. Grievous gets the green light to go through with his plan. Most CIS fleets and droid armies pull back to their most critical territories, abandoning less important worlds and small offenses. They begin fortifying these planets and turning them into fortresses. Meanwhile, offensive operations become smaller and more surgical. They aim to take enclaves of the Republic or wipe out isolated planets and fleets. In effect, it created the Outer Rim sieges 2 years earlier. The strategy works tremendously well, as although the Republic has a much larger industrial base, the CIS now concentrates its forces much more efficiently. By pulling back their forces earlier, the CIS is more intact and better able to defend their worlds, forcing the Jedi and clones to fight for every inch of ground. More importantly, with Jango Fett DNA so strained, clone production slows down and becomes increasingly inefficient, with many more defective clones. Within a few months, it's clear that the war cannot continue at this rate. The Kaminoans begin demanding that the Jedi find a new donor for clones, or they will pull out their support from the war to preserve what little DNA they have left. To save face, the Chancellor blames the failure on the Kaminoans, saying they did not take adequate security measures to protect the DNA. This allows Palpatine to threaten to enact a conscription act that allows citizens of the galaxy to enlist in the Grand Army of the Republic, which can harm the Kaminoans' standing. Once he is alone, Palpatine contacts Count Dooku.
This war is not going as planned, my apprentice.
Apologies, my master. But General Grievous has found a new strategy that is working quite well. Many of the Council are satisfied with his performance.
A performance that brings us no closer to our goal, my apprentice. To shape the galaxy requires the CIS to be the boogeyman that brings the Republic to its knees. You cannot do that hiding on your worlds. You have fallen to the same bureaucracy that you sought to destroy, Dooku.
I have done no such thing, Master. My goal is the same as ever. The abolition of the Republic. It simply requires time.
He suddenly feels his throat constricting as Palpatine raises a hand. He growls deeply.
Time is something we do not have. I expect you to fix this soon.
He shuts off the hologram and leaves Dooku to ponder his next move. The Count knows he cannot challenge Palpatine directly, but perhaps there are other ways he may change things. Dooku sends a secret message to the Kaminoans.
Greetings, Prime Minister. Please allow me to offer my sincerest apology for the appropriation by the General committed a few months back.
Count Dooku, I hope this means you will be returning the strand of Jango Fett's DNA.
I'm afraid you know I cannot do that. But I am willing to offer you something more.
Something more? Tell me why I should not report this conversation to the Supreme Chancellor right now.
Because I do not just offer you DNA. I offer you the future. I may give you that strand of DNA and you may be able to produce clones for the next few years. But then what will happen?
Then the CIS will fall. A few years is all our clones will need to turn the tide of the war.
I agree. That is why I would like to hire your services to create clones of my own.
You do? What about your droids?
They are effective enough, but I believe the time has come for me to diversify my units. Now, do we have a deal?
I shall receive your DNA and see if it is truly worth our efforts.
A few days later, a canister is sent to the Kaminoans. This one contains DNA, but not of Jango Fett, nor even of a human. Instead, the DNA is of a Kalish. The courier chuckles as he draws himself to full height, his cybernetic body covered in pale white armor.
Greetings, Prime Minister. We have much to discuss about my new clone army.
The two immediately plan to build this clone army. They set up their facilities on the lava rivers of Mustafar, away from prying eyes. This isn't the only difference between these clones. Grievous commands that they use flash cloning to age them even faster. when the Kaminoans protest how it will affect their quality, the general says he shall handle that. As they established the facilities, Dooku records the Kaminoans' involvement to use as blackmail in case they decide to defect back to the Republic. Once he has enough records, he allows the Republic to recapture Jango Fett's DNA. He leaks the research station where the canister is being held to Palpatine, who sends a Jedi strike force to recover it. Anakin and Ahsoka slowly step aboard, hidden in the remote corner of Separatist space. Keep your head down, Snips. We need to be careful if we're to find that DNA canister.
Got it, Master. I've got a bad feeling about this place.
Oh, don't worry about it. This information came from the Chancellor himself. He wouldn't have us act on it if he wasn't certain. They crouch low, moving silently as the doors open. The CIS station is heavily guarded, with battle droids patrolling the halls. Anakin uses the Force to send a large cart crashing to the ground, causing the droids to sprint in its direction to investigate. This allows Anakin and Ahsoka to slip past them toward the entrance. They reach a side door, and Anakin slices the control panel with his lightsaber. The door hisses open, and they slip inside. The hallway is dimly lit, with metal walls echoing every sound. They move cautiously, but activate the lifeform scanner. When they reach the center of the room, the floor panels beneath them shift. They leap forward just as the floor collapses, revealing a carbonite pit beneath them. From the end of the hallway, a squad of super battle droids enters and blocks their path. Blaster fire erupts and they ignite their lightsabers, deflecting bolts back at the droids. They push forward, cutting the droids down before leaping over the remaining ones and using the Force to send them tumbling into the pit. As they finish them off, panels in the room begin to release poisonous dioxis gas.
Master, keep your nose covered.
The two wrap cloths around their faces as they sprint ahead. Alarms go off as the doors shut, and more droids pour in to block their path, including a destroyer droid that ignites its shields. Ahsoka blocks its first volley, then begins lifting it off the ground. With a sudden push, she sends it rolling forward and knocking aside any oncoming droids. This clears the path for them to sprint the rest of the way. Ahsoka leaps from wall to wall, nimbly slicing through droids while Anakin follows behind and cuts down whoever gets in his way. They barely reach the lab, sliding through the doors before they slam shut. This place is filled with blinking consoles, but in the center of the room is the canister of Jango Fett's DNA, suspended in a transparent cylinder. Anakin leaps onto the platform and begins tinkering with the security locks to deactivate them. Meanwhile, Ahsoka examines the consoles to study the data. She manages to examine a bit of it before she hears blaster fire coming from behind her as more droids arrive. She crouches behind the console and notes a few bits of data, including a section about secret command codes. Before she can get a closer look, a stray blaster round hits the console and sends sparks flying everywhere. Anakin grabs the canister and turns to see Ahsoka battling a wave of droids. They fight their way back through the corridors, cutting down droids and keeping their noses covered as they dash back through the gas. Palpatine contacts Dooku shortly after.
I commend you for allowing the Jedi to retrieve the DNA. The Kaminoans have determined it is safe and untampered with.
Then are you satisfied, my master?
Not yet. It will take time before my plans are brought back on track. In the meantime, have your droid forces resume offensive operations. That should spur the Jedi into action. With the war so distant, it will not rally people to our side.
My master, things are not as simple as that. As I said, many in the CIS feel this strategy is most efficient. It would be difficult to convince them otherwise.
I thought you were in command of this organization, not the other way around.
Master, with all due respect, the Jedi are losing their numbers faster than ever before. It makes me wonder if we truly require the Order.
This time, Palpatine begins to strangle Dooku, forcing his hands to grip his throat.
Insolent pup. I planned this moment far longer than you can imagine, and I will not have my plans unraveled because of your foolishness. No, you will see my orders done, or I will find someone who will.
Without another word, Palpatine drops Dooku on the ground and cuts the signal. As he rubs his throat, the Count feels his hatred growing. No, not by my foolishness, my master. Still, he understands he cannot delay offensive actions any further, and orders Grievous to begin attacking, claiming that Newt Gunray and the rest of the Council are worried that their holdings might be under threat. Thankfully, by now, they are ready to enact their plans. For the past few months, Grievous has been on Mustafar training his new clone army. Using what little organic DNA is left of him, the CIS creates their clone army of Kaleesh warriors. Although they are far fewer than the clones, the Kaleesh's natural fighting skills make them stronger than the average clone. More importantly, Grievous spends a year training them to fight like his legendary Isvo Shra. Even with flash cloning, Grievous drills them relentlessly, carefully weeding out the weaklings to ensure that the army consists of nothing but hardened killers. They soon find a place to test these new clones, as the Republic pushes its next offensive on Magito. Ki-Adi-Mundi leads the attack, and is steadily gaining ground, threatening the intergalactic banking clan. Grievous redirects his new clones along with his droid army to repel this invasion. The icy plains of Magito stretch out beneath the dark, stormy sky, while Republic forces march towards the city, their goal to capture the strategic planet from the Separatists. The ground shakes as ATTE walkers and clone troopers advance, blaster fire cutting through the frigid air. Explosions erupt as the first wave of droid defenses engage the Republic forces. The artillery strikes pound the city, striking the droid forces to their breaking point. As they begin to crumble under the onslaught, Ki-Adi-Mundi leads the charge, his blue lightsaber a blur as he deflects blaster bolts and cuts down battle droids. The clones follow closely, their blasters firing across the bridge. As the first clones reach the end of the bridge, the droids begin to retreat, folding under the endless attacks of the clones. But as they break, the roars of the engines fill the sky as the Republic fleet reports the arrival of additional ships. Dozens of CIS ships appear and engage the Republic fleet. At its head, General Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand. Unlike the rest of the fleet, it descends onto the surface, deploying reinforcements behind the droid lines. The hulking figure of Grievous emerges, and behind him, battalions of his new Kaleesh clones. These clones are fierce and relentless, charging into battle with blasters and vibroblades. The Kaleesh clones move like nothing the Jedi have ever seen. They climb on walls, leap from roof to roof, or simply barrel through the clones and hack at them with their swords. The Republic forces begin to falter under the onslaught. The Kaleesh clones wield vibroblades and blasters with deadly precision. Their war cries echo across the battlefield. They are so ferocious that the clones soon begin retreating across the bridge they captured earlier. Ki-Adi-Mundi fights valiantly, his lightsaber carving a path through the enemy, but the tide of battle shifts against the Republic. As they close on him, he remains standing on the bridge, alone, with his weapon ready. Amidst the chaos, Ki-Adi-Mundi spots General Grievous cutting down clone troopers. He charges towards the cyborg general. Grievous notices the Jedi and turns, his 4 lightsabers ignited.
Master Mundi, I have wanted to add your lightsaber to my collection since Hypuri. It seems I will get my chance today.
Many have died because of you today, monster. Your blood shall spill alongside them.
Ki-Adi-Mundi and Grievous rush one another as their lightsabers clash. The Jedi Master's agility and skill meet the brute's strength and unorthodox style of the cyborg. Blades clash and sparks fly as they trade blows, each maneuvering for an advantage. Ki-Adi-Mundi's experience allows him to hold his ground for a time. As the cyborg rains down attacks on him, He's careful to leap and duck under each attack, not wasting his strength in trying to match the general. This strategy allows him to stay close and land a few small hits. Some of these attacks scratch and dent his armor, causing the attacks to slow ever so slightly. But the general does not relent and continues fighting with almost animalistic ferocity. Grievous presses the attack, his forearms creating a whirlwind of lightsabers that force Ki-Adi-Mundi to defend. The problem with his strategy of avoiding and evading is that it slowly saps his strength as his movements slow down. Grievous seizes the opportunity, delivering a devastating kick that sends Ki-Adi-Mundi sprawling. Ki-Adi-Mundi struggles to his feet, but Grievous never gives him the opportunity. With a swift and brutal strike, he disarms the Jedi Master, literally. As the Jedi Master blurrily looks at the stumps where his arms were, Grievous delivers a final, lethal blow, his lightsaber piercing Ki-Adi-Mundi's chest. As Ki-Adi-Mundi falls, Grievous picks up his lightsaber and holds it up for all to see. He lets out a thunderous roar that causes the Republic forces to break. The clones, witnessing the death of their leader, begin to retreat under the overwhelming pressure of the Kalish clones and battle droids. The once orderly ranks of the Republic army dissolve into chaos as they are driven back, their hopes of capturing Magito shattered. The news of this defeat sends shockwaves across the Republic, especially when images and videos of the ferocious Kalish warriors emerge. At first, they believe these are regular Kalish warriors, who the CIS have recruited, and not clones, as many do not even consider the possibility that the Kaminoans have defected to the CIS. However, this does little to reassure the public, who watches as one of their greatest Jedi Masters, an entire clone army, are defeated. With the defeated Magito, the Republic forces in that sector are thrown into chaos, allowing Grievous to launch a brutal counterattack. He attacks their fleets across multiple worlds again and again, until they are forced to withdraw from the sector entirely. But rather than letting them retreat like they usually do, this time the CIS chases after the defeated Republic forces into their own space and begins a new offensive. The spearhead of this attack is Grievous's Kalish warriors. Meanwhile, the months of playing defense allows the CIS to build up their fleets and droid forces. The attack completely shatters the Republic forces, who are worn down from months of non-stop siege warfare, unlimited clone production. This allows the general to make deep inroads into the Republic space, capturing world after world. Those who do put up a fight face not just the overwhelming numbers of the droids, but the new clone army. It is one thing when these Kalish are in CIS space, but seeing them terrorize Republic citizens in Republic space decimates morale. The citizens are terrified and demand the Chancellor take action. Palpatine watches all this with a smile, seeing everything go according to his plan. He tells Dooku he is pleased with recent events, but warns him to control Grievous and not let him win too many victories. At first, it seems like the Count agrees as soon as the offensive operations slow down, supposedly to consolidate their holdings. While the defeat is serious, most core worlds are safe, ensuring the Republic can continue the fight. But that is where Dooku shifts plans again. This time he hits the Republic politically. With all the data he's gathered from Jango Fett's DNA, he now has the means of leaking Palpatine's plans without drawing suspicion to himself. Since the Battle of Kamino, Dooku has grown increasingly frustrated with his master, who keeps his plans to himself and punishes him each time the CIS comes close to victory. He begins to think that Palpatine might have ulterior motives and decides to take action. All he needs is a way to discreetly leak this information without it being traced back to him. Dooku soon finds the perfect opportunity in the form of Echo, a clone trooper the CIS captured a few months back. Wat Tambor has been using him to learn more about Republic strategies, so he plants the data on his computers and makes it seem like the Techno Union stumbles upon this data while studying him. When Anakin, Rex, and the Bad Batch rescue him, they find him and the data. In the dimly lit corridors of the Techno Union facility on Skako Minor, the place fills with the sounds of blaster fire and the clash of metal. Anakin Skywalker, Captain Rex, and the Bad Batch cut down droids and make their way down to rescue Echo. Once they reach the laboratory where he is being held, they bolt the door behind them and find Echo strapped to a strange apparatus, wires connected to his head and body. Tech rushes to the console, his eyes scanning the data rapidly. "Can you get him out of there?"
Working on it. But there's more. They've got files here that suggest the Techno Union discovered some critical Republic intel while studying Echo. What kind of intel? Strategic weaknesses in our defenses, troop movements, and even future battle plans.
"We know that, Tech. Echo is one of our best strategists and has been working with Rex."
Yes, but that's not all they found. They've been studying the inhibitor chips planted in the clones. Say that again. Did you just say inhibitor chips?
Tech doesn't answer and continues to read the data, his eyes widening in surprise.
Yes. Inhibitor chips are programmed in all clones. All were created to ensure our obedience, including for secret commands, including Order 66.
What's Order 66?
It's an order that commands the clones to execute the Jedi in the event that they turn against the Republic. This information is linked to every clone trooper's chip.
Execute the Jedi? Why would the Republic implant such a command?
We had no idea. But if this is true, every clone could be turned against the Jedi at any moment. Why would the Seps want this? It says they are hoping to commission the Kaminoans to implant similar command codes into the CIS Kaleesh. Those things Grievous has been throwing at us. Are they clones too? Is that what you're telling me? It would appear so.
The clones and the Jedi all stare at one another, uncertain of each other. The trust they shared a moment ago is now irrevocably shaken. Although they fought alongside each other, the news of these chips was like a grenade going off, leaving all of them on edge. Finally, Hunter clears his throat.
We can't leave this information here. We need to take it and expose it.
Agreed. This could save countless lives. Tech quickly downloads the data onto a portable drive. They fight their way back out of the facility, making their way to the extraction point. They board their ship and take off. But while they make their escape, none of them can bear to look each other in the eye. The news of these inhibitor chips and the Kaminoans' collaboration with the CIS sends shockwaves across the Republic. For years, the clones were the backbone of the Republic and helped hold the CIS at bay. They were seen as the perfect soldiers and beyond deception. But this news shatters the trust in them and the Kaminoans. Now hundreds of senators are calling for the clones to be decommissioned, believing the army is compromised, as they hear the various orders that were never disclosed to them. Meanwhile, the Jedi are furious that things like Order 66 or 37 could even exist, much less without their knowledge. They threaten to withdraw their support from the war unless all data about the clones are disclosed. Meanwhile, there are calls for the Chancellor by the public to increase transparency and accountability in the government, and everyone is demanding that the Kaminoans be punished for aiding the CIS. With all this happening, Grievous renews his grand offensive, but the Republic he encounters is practically at war with itself. Distrust and low morale run rampant across all ranks, leaving the Grand Army much less able to meet Grievous in battle. This gives the general a clear path right to Coruscant. He encounters true resistance as hundreds of Republic ships meet him in battle. The skies above fill with capital ships as they duel with one another. The battle turns into a siege, as this time the Republic is on the defensive. With their forces spread thin, Grievous deploys his ground forces, including his elite Kaleesh legions. Most of these make their way toward the Jedi Temple, eager to finish their goal of wiping out the Jedi. But Grievous himself sprints to the Senate building with a different goal in mind. In the Chancellor's office, squads of clones and Senate guards stand ready to evacuate the Chancellor at a moment's notice. They are led by Shaak Ti and a task force of Jedi. As they watch the battle unfolding from the window, a door opens and Count Dooku casually steps out. The guards immediately aim while the Jedi ready their lightsabers. In response, Dooku simply chuckles and looks at the clones.
Execute Order 66.
Suddenly, the troopers swivel their blasters and aim at the Jedi. Most are cut down before they can even register what happened. Shaak Ti manages to block a few volleys, but soon joins them. The Chancellor only watches in horror as his guards soon join the Jedi. Once they're dead, Dooku dismisses the remaining clones.
I made sure the command codes on inhibitor chips will function for me too, thanks to my Kaminoan allies.
You traitor!
Now, there is no need for these accusations. It is simply the way of the Sith.
Then you know the cost for an apprentice that overreaches himself.
Palpatine ignites his lightsaber, eyes blazing as the master and apprentice cross blades, the shockwave shattering the windows. When they pull back, Palpatine moves with furious speed, allowing the Force to boost his agility as he forces Dooku back. The Count does not go down without a fight, parrying and blocking each move as his fighting style remains flawless. But while this keeps him alive, it does not allow him to push his attack. He slowly gives ground, allowing the Chancellor to lead this deadly dance. Dooku finds himself pressed back from the seemingly endless barrage, moving back step by step. This progress is not enough for Palpatine, who delivers a powerful force push that sends Dooku crashing into a wall. Seizing the opportunity, Palpatine lunges forward, his blade aimed at Dooku's heart. The Count barely spins out of the way and narrowly avoids the attack. He riposts and thrusts his own lightsaber at Palpatine's face. The Emperor effortlessly blocks it and pushes Dooku's lightsaber, then sweeps the Count's legs underneath him. As Dooku topples over, Palpatine prepares to deliver the killing blow. Before he can bring his lightsaber down, General Grievous leaps through the window, his 4 lightsabers ignited in a blaze of blue and green. He immediately engages the Sith Lord with a flurry of rapid strikes, allowing the Count to roll aside. Grievous's mechanical limbs move with inhuman speed, matching Palpatine's force-boosted speed. With 4 arms, the Chancellor struggles to defend against the relentless assault, especially as Dooku joins him. He strikes from the side and forces Palpatine to divide his attention. Now it is his turn to begin giving ground. Palpatine attempts to split his focus, deflecting Grievous's strikes while countering Dooku's elegant attacks. Despite his formidable skills, the 2-pronged assault proves too much. Grievous catches Palpatine's blades with his own, twisting it out of the Sith Lord's hand. Dooku seizes this moment, delivering a powerful kick to Palpatine's chest that sends him sprawling. Grievous follows up with a vicious slash, slicing across Palpatine's chest and leaving a smoking wound. Palpatine gasps in pain, falling to his knees. Dooku approaches, his lightsaber poised for the final strike. With a swift motion, he drives his blade through Palpatine's heart, ending the contest. But neither has time to celebrate, as the battle still rages around them. Dooku runs over to Palpatine's desk and begins contacting the clone commanders all across the planet with the same command: executing Order 66. With their inhibitor chips modified to acknowledge Dooku as their commander, they obey. To their horror, the clones join forces with the droids, giving the Jedi no opportunity to react as they are gunned down. Within minutes, hundreds of Jedi fall to the blasters of their own troopers. This spreads across the city, in the temple, and within the Force. Once that is done, Dooku transmits that same message to clone commanders all across the galaxy. Those hundreds become thousands, then more, as there is soon nothing left of the Jedi Order. Without the Jedi, the clones and droids are now under Dooku's control. The Senate meekly sends a transmission, offering its unconditional surrender. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.